I am 6 figures richer. Hi everyone, it's siu-yee. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about how I have increased my net worth by $100,000 in 3 years. Okay, maybe not 3 years exactly, maybe like 3 years and 2 weeks, but who's really counting that? Anyway, I really wanted to take this time to just celebrate this milestone. I have been able to pay down such a large amount of debt in just the past year alone, and hopefully I'll become debt-free within a year. So my net worth is negative. It's still very much negative, but it has increased by $100,000 since my starting point. I consider my starting point around August 2018. That is when I first really got into paying off my debt and having a budget that I can rely on so that I can actually accomplish my financial goals. Now, since your net worth can vary a lot over time, I'm really only counting the lowest possible net worth that I had at a given moment, and that just happened to be at my starting point, August 2018. As many of you know, I got into a bit of 0% interest credit card debt in like 2019 so that I could pay off my student loans faster, which was technically a good idea, but it didn't quite work out because I started spending more than I should have, so then I ended up with some credit card debt. But since I had been paying down my federal loans so much, my net worth didn't really dip below my August 2018 starting point. So August 2018 was my lowest net worth, and that happened to be negative $129,263.38. give or take. This is the second week of September, and since I recently got my paycheck, my net worth naturally has gone up. So my current net worth is around negative $27,000, and obviously a large amount of my paycheck is going to go towards my student loans and any other monthly expenses that come up. And by that I mean maybe spending some money on the Whitney Simmons X Gymshark collection. I really want those sets, okay? So, as London Tipton would say, yay me! I increased my net worth by $100,000, by 6 figures. I'm very happy about it, and I want to share how I actually got to this point. Now, obviously, I had some obstacles along the way, and I want to share that with you first because the obstacles can be really important. So after college, I got a job, and it was far away from my parents' house, so naturally, I got an apartment, and because I don't love living with other people, I mean, shout out to my old roommates, you were all great. I am just a natural only child. I like having my own things. I don't like sharing. I like my own space. I, of course, decided to get my own 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in a pretty nice area close to work so I wouldn't have to drive much because I didn't really like driving, TBH. I still don't really like driving, but that ended up costing me $1,300 plus utilities around $200 a month for over 2 years. And honestly, my money going to rent and utilities every month was really deterring me from paying off my debt a lot sooner. But at that point, I really couldn't imagine going back to living with my parents again because I liked having my own space, even though I was very much isolated, but I was happy there. I love living in isolation. I'm just kidding, not really. I'm such a homebody. I don't like going anywhere, but yeah, that was a big deal, spending money on rent. Huge dent in my budget. Next up, I was driving to visit someone in like the summer of 2019, and I was driving pretty far away from this truck. This truck had a pebble, and the pebble decided to happily land on my car's windshield and leave its wonderful little scar on it. That scar, the little crack, definitely grew, and I had my windshield repaired, which I thought was cool. And then I had to do the Pennsylvania state emissions test because in Pennsylvania, you have to do that every single year. Wonderful. And it did not pass. So I went back to the company that I had repair my windshield, and they replaced it. So I had to pay an extra $300 something on top of the $40 or so that I had to pay before that. So that was a $400 cost, and at that point I was being super frugal, so $400 to me was like a lot. I was not very happy to spend it, but I was happy to know that I could cover that cost because I had an emergency fund and I had disposable income that I was originally reserving towards my student loans that I could use to repair my car. And these things happen. They could happen to you, they could happen to me, obviously, and I was happy that I had that foundation to actually be able to cover the cost, even though it set me back maybe a month in paying off one of my federal student loans. The other obstacle was just the fact that I had a car. I had a car lease. my car lease was costing me $336 a month. It would have only cost me $309 a month if I had stayed in New Jersey because I had already paid taxes in New Jersey, but I didn't know that when I moved to another state with a lease, I would have to pay taxes to that state on that lease. But that added $27 towards my monthly expenses, and that was really annoying. On top of the fact that my lease wasn't even my own car, really. I was still planning on just switching it out for a newer car like normal people do, because why wouldn't you? With time, I realized that getting a car lease was just dumb. It didn't really work with my lifestyle, especially now that I'm driving a lot. There was no way I was gonna be able to stay under the mileage requirement. Next up, I don't like calling this an obstacle because he is my baby boy, he is my life, my child, my little bambino. I got a puppy. Although I loved isolation, I've just always wanted a puppy. And I wanted us to be isolated together. So I got my dog, he was expensive, I spoiled him, and I still do, and I do not regret it, but it definitely interfered with how much money I was able to send towards debt. Initial costs were around $3,000 for him, for vet visits, for shots, for dog equipment. I've never had a dog before, really, and I've never had to take care of an animal before, other than my goldfish Dorothy, who died, rest in peace. But I wanted to go all out for this dog because he was gonna be my best friend. So, he still is, and he's my baby boy, and I'm happy that I spent that money on him. But if you have a lot of debt and do not have the time to allot to taking care of a child or the money to cover unexpected expenses, I don't know if getting a dog is the best idea. For me, I definitely understood that I was gonna incur these expenses. I definitely was not prepared for how much time it would take, but obviously, I'm so happy I did it because he's my child. And any friends who tell me that they want to get a puppy, I will be brutally honest. Like, I will tell you the truth about how much work it can be and how much you could potentially have to sacrifice if you're taking care of another living, breathing child. Although I definitely spent some money on Percy, I'm happy that I did. I don't regret that. But it definitely is a huge general responsibility and financial responsibility. So definitely be aware of that if you're considering getting a dog while you're paying off debt. So the other thing that was really important to me on this journey was honestly having a support system. Even though you have friends and family who will love you and support you, they won't always have to understand, and that was very true for me. A lot of my friends didn't really understand why I was making these little sacrifices because they knew that I was like doing all right money-wise, but I was definitely being very, very frugal at some points that I just didn't want to go to birthday parties. I didn't want to spend $100-something on one night. Obviously now I think my answer would be very different because I've paid off so much debt, but in that time I was being very, very frugal. And I was happy with it. I never felt like I was making too many sacrifices. So it's really important to try to respect your own goals and still be involved in other people's lives if you want to. Just do it your own way, and if they're really your friend, they'll be really understanding of it. I also obviously took the time to immerse myself in the debt-free community, the personal finance community, and kind of connect with a bunch of people who are like-minded, or at least follow accounts that post things that you can learn from. I obviously started my own YouTube channel about frugality and finance, and it was stuff that I was interested in, and through that I've been able to connect with so many other YouTubers and small YouTubers who are trying to become more financially stable, and that's something that I aspire to. I want to surround myself by people who are like-minded, and if they're different, then why? Why are they doing things differently? How are they gaining something from that? Because that can all be a learning experience. So I really love the personal finance community, and I'm so happy that I got to connect with you guys, especially the people who leave comments. The whole point of me starting my channel was to inspire other people like me who felt like maybe at some point it was impossible to increase your net worth or get out of debt, and that's what I want to do. I want to kind of lead by example, and if some of you can learn something from my videos, that is honestly amazing. That is my whole goal. So thank you to everyone who leaves comments and likes my videos and supports me on my journey, because that means a lot to me. Okay, so besides the conceptual stuff, here are some concrete examples that you can use to increase your own net worth. And these are things that I've actually done myself. As many of you know, I use a credit card still, and I still don't think it's absolutely necessary, but you do you. The moment I make a transaction, Capital One sends me a cute little notification and tells me how much money I spent. I used to hate that reminder because it made me feel guilty, but now I love it because it just reminds me that I spent money. And whenever I spend money, I get some cash back. And cash back will absolutely not make you rich, but it definitely helps me keep track of what I spent on, and I make sure to immediately apply that cash back to my account credit. So whenever that transaction posts, whenever the rewards post, I will apply that to my account credit and then essentially make that one purchase a little bit smaller in my budget. So I don't wait until those points rack up and then you get like $100 in rewards cash. No, I do it immediately. I want the savings now, and that's why I personally like Capital One over like the Discover It card, for example, because Discover It I think only gives you rewards at the end of the statement, which is just too long for me. Use your credit cards as debit cards and only spend the money that you have in your bank account. Next up, budget your money. So when you get some money in, make sure that you allocate it where it needs to go. Allot it towards your financial goals, and if you want some spending money, then allot that to spending money. You figure out how to make a budget that works for you, and everything will be so much easier that way. Now, in order to actually send money towards your financial goals, you have to set up financial goals for yourself. So last year, I put down some financial goals that I wanted to accomplish this year. I may or may not have accomplished them this year. We'll see. I definitely did not accomplish some of them, but I definitely wrote them down, and I do a quarterly checkup on how I'm doing. So that's very important. I use coupons and discount codes when I can. If you're a student, you get a lot of discounts. When I have cash, I try to use it when it's cheaper, like getting gas, because sometimes when you pay with a credit card, you get like a processing fee, and no one really wants that. So if you have cash, just use cash. Avoiding toll routes. Treat driving as a part-time job. That's definitely more true for me now. If you drive a lot and the toll route isn't terrible, see if that'll save you enough money that you won't care how much time you're losing. Definitely do a cost analysis on that. I also had some side hustles. So I've tried DoorDash, Postmates, Online Book Club, and Upwork. They were all very interesting in their own ways. It definitely was a new experience for me, which I appreciated. Did I become rich from that? Probably not, but it definitely instilled a better work ethic, mostly because these types of side hustles kind of reward you for an amount of time or an order that you complete. So it feels like the money that you earn is a bit more tangible, and it gives you a different perspective on how much your money and time is worth. So I definitely like those experiences. Are they for everyone? Probably not. And last but not least, I have moved back in with my parents. I did this in December of 2020, and it has been the best financial decision I've ever made, saving me so much money. I don't pay for anything, thank you to my parents, and my mom is even helping me pay off my debt now. So that's also very recent, but that is definitely helping me increase my net worth a lot. Obviously, I have amazing parents, and I want to help them with the mortgage as well, but that's just my situation. Now I just want to know what you've done to help you stay on track of your financial goals. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more related content.